Hello lovelies! Every couple of seasons I try to make one of these dream wardrobe videos to help me figure out exactly what I'm looking for when sifting through clothing and accessories at thrift stores or online. I love making clothes and jewelry, and I love looking for items in less discovered corners of the world, as the items feel more personal and interesting. I've crawled out of a fashion rut quite recently, so today we're going to talk about some of the items that have inspired me this spring that I would like to start looking for. Hopefully you'll like some of these items too, and we can both manifest finding them for somewhere at a decent price and quality. The first item I've been looking at is a vintage bed jacket. One thing about me is that I love vintage and antique sleepwear. Between the lace, the silk, the embroidery, everything is so beautiful. Bed jackets are so versatile especially, and they encapsulate everything I love about vintage sleepwear. There are so many beautiful pieces on eBay. Usually they're silk, satin, or this organza type fabric with lace details and dainty buttons strewn about. I think my favorite would be this blue silky bed jacket since it's a beautiful color and has some interesting shapes in the lace. Some of these bed jackets are quilted too to give a little more warmth, and I think these ones are a little more wearable for daily outside use. I love when I see people wear these out as jackets or layered as shirts, since it gives a kind of vintage look while being styled in a more modern way. I have one bed jacket from a set from Free People that I've been wearing all the time, so I would really like to find a similar style in some other colors. Overall, bed jackets are just the ideal garment to me. Next, I want to find a carpet bag for a decent price. These typically have a tapestry or Afghan rug type of look to them with some leather details. I love how many of these bags pair very well with silk and lace or that kind of bohemian style. They're pretty easy to find on eBay in the $50 to $100 range, and I found some really pretty ones on Etsy that I really love. They're definitely more expensive. Out of all of them though, I think this J. Jill bag from eBay is my favorite, but $95 is a little steep for me at the moment. I love the colors and interesting textures that these bags possess, and I think they're an easy way to spruce up a whimsical outfit. Naturally, my favorite ones are always the most expensive ones, so I would love to go to one of my local thrift shops and be able to find one of these, and I think I could find one at a decent price. Next on the list, it would not be a fashion video of mine if I did not talk about some tights I've been looking at. I found these tights with an excerpt from Pride and Prejudice, and I just thought they were really cool. The excerpt comes from a conversation between Elizabeth and Jane Bennet, where Jane discusses her admiration for Mr. Bingley, while Elizabeth is a little more cautious of him and his family. If I had to personally choose an excerpt from this book, I probably wouldn't choose this one, but I love the idea of wearing admirable literature. The seller of these tights is Colleen Design, and they come in a variety of colors. I would probably get the pink or orange tights personally. The seller also sells tights with Emily Dickinson's poetry on them, as well as excerpts from Edgar Allan Poe's short stories on them, but of course I love the Pride and Prejudice ones. They're really cute, and I think it's a really fun way to show off some writing that you like. Next, I would love to find a 1920s boudoir cap. I am fascinated by Edwardian and 1920s fashion, and of course, as I've talked about before, I love antique sleepwear. These sleeping caps were popular in the 19th and early 20th century as a form of lingerie. They help protect the hair, and they help to cover up messy hair in the morning. According to Wikipedia, sleeping caps got very elaborate and decorative during the First World War, as many women had to pick up and flee pretty frequently and unexpectedly during bombings in the middle of the night, and they wanted to look presentable. This fact is very sad, but the caps are a very interesting piece of history, and they are a beautiful art form. After all this time, they are still very beautiful, and I could definitely see these worn in a more modernized way, kind of like a beret. My favorite cap out of all of these has to be the pink 1920s one with the cream lace details. I love how dainty and well made it looks. As someone who loves antiques and history, this would be so interesting to have. Next, we're taking a full 180 from lace and silk to hardware. I want to find more clothing items, accessories, and shoes with fun, chunky hardware. I love when leather or canvas jackets have those bulky closures instead of a visible zipper. It looks very high quality and gives more character. I found these pants on Pinterest too that have the same closures along the front, which are also super cool. Although I am typically more into the vintage and romantic look, these pants and bulky hardware in general gives a kind of brutalist design that I find very intriguing. I think thick hardware is also fun on shoes. I see these AS98 shoes on Pinterest all of the time, and I love the interesting look they have with the smooth leather and the contrasting thick buckle. AS98 has some really interesting shoes with silver and metallic details and interesting shapes, and I would love to find some of their items with these thick silver details someday. This next item isn't really something I would find, but more of something I would like to find the supplies to make. I really want to make a kind of charm necklace in the way that this artist Emily Frances Barrett does on Instagram. I love the look of the different stones and petrified wood and broken pottery together to form this kind of artifact. I love the idea of creating an heirloom that looks like a piece taken from antiquity. I would love to find and make some really interesting beads or pendants to create this kind of piece in a way that is more personal and sentimental to me. Next, I would love to find some really interesting layering tops. I'm always on the lookout at Goodwill for some like turtlenecks or some really lacy fun tops, but I've not been able to find exactly what I'm looking for. I want to find some easy long sleeves with just a base color or stripes. I'd like to find some brown, red, blue, and green pieces particularly, and I've been really loving anything with stripes or fun patterns. I'm especially on the lookout for a layering top like this. This is the Lady Luxe tee from Free People. I've seen it styled in so many pretty ways under camis, t-shirts, dresses, sweaters, and more. I think these tops give a lot of variety and texture to an outfit, and I feel like I could do a lot with them. Next, we have some more jewelry. I have once again found another Intaglio ring and pendant seller on Etsy, and that has reawakened my search for a beautiful Intaglio ring. As I have discussed in other videos, I have a very deep interest in Intaglio rings throughout history, as I think they hold so much personalization and character. People have been making these intaglios throughout human history from 3,000 years ago until today, and I love the timelessness of it. The seller I found on Etsy makes affordable intaglio rings out of glass since it's definitely cheaper to make. The seller is Intaglio Jane, and they make mostly mythological and biblical centered pieces out of that colored glass. If I were to buy one of these sellers' rings, I would probably buy the winged lion ring or the St. Michael earrings. Next, I would love to find some crochet or hand knit pieces that look kind of like this. I would love to learn how to knit or crochet in the future, but for now I really want to find an interesting piece like this. I love floral and other nature-centered motifs and the delicate look of garments like this, especially with interesting sleeves and tassels. This look is beautiful on anything between tops to jackets to dresses to accessories like these leg warmers. I love these tops made by Spruce on Instagram, especially for daily use. She creates them mostly in black and white with these little clasps at the top, and they're so delicate and beautiful. I would love to be able to find or make something of this design and quality. Next, for jewelry, I would like to find a perfume bottle necklace, preferably heart-shaped of course. Artist Mary on Etsy has several interesting designs using these frosted perfume bottles. The one with the Art Nouveau figure looks especially interesting to me. I see these bottles used in necklaces or on keychains, and they look so nice while also being a functional piece. Muriel de Bruja on Etsy also has some interesting glass heart-shaped perfume bottle jewelry that looks a little more antique-like. They're very beautiful, and placing your scent into your jewelry feels very beautiful and personal to me. Next, I'd like to get something from Favorite Child Collective. This brand has clothing, jewelry, and other items based on literary references and pop culture. They have many items that relate to popular movies like Black Swan, The Virgin Suicides, and Priscilla, and literary references from books by Louisa May Alcott, Jane Austen, and the Bronte sisters. I've seen this Reading is Sexy sweater that they have quite a bit, and I absolutely love it. They also have this adorable gingham dress with this big pretty collar and some tops with references to popular movies, books, and art. My favorite is probably the jewelry though, since they have a gorgeous assortment of lockets with literary depictions. Overall, a really interesting brand that I would be interested in either buying from or finding secondhand. Next, I'm looking into getting some more interesting glasses. I usually wear my contacts, as you can see, but I wear my prescription glasses when I am going to bed or when my contacts are just bothering me. Stupidly, I sat on my glasses recently, so even though it did minimal damage, they don't fit my face as well as they used to, and I will be needing new glasses pretty soon. I would love to get some big red or green glasses, particularly to use as a fun detail in my outfits and just to feel like a little quirky old lady when I go to sleep. I like these dark red ones the most as I feel like they are the most versatile. My current glasses are just clear with regular rectangular frames, so it would be nice to have some interesting frames as well as a prescription that is up to date. Lastly, I want to find some more items with fun buttons. My style is definitely a spectrum between antique, ghostly figure and whimsical children's book author, and I think big buttons kind of play into that hungry caterpillar look of it all that I really adore. Here are some fun striped mohair sweaters with these colorful buttons that I found on Pinterest. These are so whimsical and fun. I feel like I could layer these nicely and build some beautiful looks around them. I also like long sleeve shirts with sweaters with buttons strewn about like this. I feel like if I found enough fun buttons, I could definitely make this one. Peacoats and coats and jackets with buttons running parallel to one another are also really fun. I love the colors a lot of these come in as well, like the olive greens and the deep reds and purples, but I especially love these jackets and tops when they have those big chunky round buttons. Well, that is all I have for you today. I feel like sometimes it can be really hard to style items in spring since you don't have the comfort of layering when the sun comes out as much, but I'm hoping to find some of these pieces so I can get out of that spring slump. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you like this video, I would really deeply appreciate if you would please subscribe. Thank you so much once again, and I will see you next time. Goodbye!